Welcome to Modern Goddess. Here we discuss everything mastering your mindset, wellness wisdom, upgrading your relationships so that you can unleash your divine goddess essence and live your authentic best self every single day. I'm your host, Cassie Aurora. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. So I'm currently sitting here in my living room waiting for the DPD man to arrive, and he was supposed to come at between 20 past 1 and 20 past 2. It's now 2:30. Like, you know when you're just like, as a woman who's busy, come on. But it's no surprise because I've got my second round of my Saturn return, and I've noticed literally in the past few days how it's playing out. And for those of you that haven't been through your Saturn return, it's a huge thing in astrology, and depending where it is how it feels. But for me, it's always I have a lot of planets in my third house. And the third house is associated with day-to-day doings. It's like going here, there, everywhere, vehicles, communication. It's like the day-to-day bits and bobs. Its actual original significator is the moon. So if you think about the moon in astrology, it's constantly changing. Waxes, it wanes. People do say it's associated with Gemini, but there's a big argument about this in astrology, and I guess that can help. But basically, it's a busy house, and if you have lots of planets there, or if you have Saturn there, it's kind of like you get all these blockages on the day-to-day bits and bobs, and it's just like, it can be a real nightmare. It does depend on the house, of course, but like as in what sign rules it. For me, it's Capricorn. So, my day-to-day structures are just being burdened. They're being messed around. Like, the only way I've got to do this podcast is because the interview guest I was going to be doing this podcast with sadly had to postpone, like, very last minute. And that's really Saturn Mars energy that I've got going on. And this is what I'm going to talk about today, because it's going on for everyone somewhere in their chart, somewhere in their life, and it really starts now. This new moon in Leo is going to bring, I'm going to kind of break it down, but this week is a real, I keep saying, August is the turning point, but it really is. Personally, it's like the final clearing as we move out finally from what's been kind of holding us back as we move into 2021. So yeah, the DPD man might come. I mean, I'm too hot for this podcast anyway, so might take a hot minute, but we'll get to the end together. And I really am excited to give you this astrology update. But before we get into it, I also want to say I'm loving my inner child healing course at the moment. My ladies are so beautiful. And last night we dived in. We actually officially had our first time together, like as in our first practical. And there was some huge shifts, literally just in that one. So I'm so excited to see how they benefit from this. The one thing I love more than anything, is using astrology or the somatic work or kind of the ways that I work to actually finally help, you guys break through and let go of all those old scripts and stories that are the past. Your emotions, your stories, they don't define you, but the problem is if we try and let them go without actually fully feeling them, we end up stuck and more fragmented and more messed up, and we don't attract in the abundance we want. We don't attract in the changes, don't happen in our relationships that we want. We notice the same patterns come up in our relationships, and that's not a coincidence. It's like, as above, so below. So our inner world literally is an inner place where whatever is within us, whether we're conscious of it or not, is being projected in the outside world. And That's kind of what I wanted to talk about a lot today, because I think that global events are really helpful for helping us understand also our own internal archetypes that are buried, denied, suppressed, disowned, that can then help us to create deeper peace within. And if we were all actually to deeply work inwards and liberate ourselves and come into our individual authenticity and not practice going outwards as much and thinking, oh, how can I help this person? How can I help this person? We'd actually be more integrated whole beings, and we'd actually help the planet. Because what's happening outside of you in your relationships, in your family life, in the world, is a projection of your inner consciousness. It can be no other way. That's the most ancient Hermetic principle, and to me it is an absolute truth. And I don't often go, this is an absolute truth, but as above, so below. As you can see in astrology, it's an absolute truth. The planets, when you were born, reflect a very specific archetypal map of your soul. And anyone that's booked readings with me, you guys know that it's literally a reflection of what's going on inside. And people have readings and their minds blown because they're like, do you know, this feels so profound on a soulful, deep level. And it's like deliciously rich, in all of those things that are inwards. But we can use astrology to be like, oh, well, this is this and that is that, and this is the relationship, and kind of just define you. But I don't believe in boxing people or defining them, because I believe we are so much more than our astrology chart. We can elevate to the highest expression of our astrology chart. For example, you have a lower expression of a certain archetype and a higher expression of a certain archetype. And this is why I love and am the biggest proponent of individualism and not searching for enlightenment, actually searching for authenticity. Because when you strip away the layers of you that are based in trauma and inauthenticity and pain and stories and the need to be a certain identity, job, in a certain relationship, have a certain role, earn a certain amount of money. When you kind of let all those things go and you just turn into your core essence, your soulful essence, like who you really crave to be on a deep soul level, everything kind of just becomes peaceful and the world around you literally changes. My family have completely changed. Well, we've never had a conversation about anything that happened in the past. And believe me, my family has got some real trauma. Woo! Oh dear. That karmic load I've had to work through. But everything changes for everyone based on the work I do. Because if you think about it, people that are vibrationally attached to you, be it your children, your partner, your friends, the minute that you do your own work, it's literally not possible for them to stay the same, because vibrationally are matched to them. So they will either fall away or they will come with you. And this is why it's so hard sometimes to be on a growth path, because you find that you outgrow your connections. And that can be the really challenging time. I remember a moment last year when I really went through a huge elevation. I really integrated some deep trauma and I was no longer the same person. And yet my relationship at the time, he could not come with me. He didn't want to make that choice. And so that relationship ended. I ended it. And then, pretty much within a few weeks, few months, I met Alex now, who is the absolute embodiment of perfection. But the reason that for me and him, we get closer and closer is because we're both growth minded, and it doesn't always feel easy. This astrological energy we have got going on is difficult, and we have to slow down. Me especially, because I'm the one who can be very my Pisces moon can just go into not reaction, but I can really go into a place of victim and trauma, and my abandonment wounds can come up a lot, and I can really get stuck into a story. especially because to me, connection is the most important thing. He's a little bit different, as in he's not as far on the path, but like he's still growth minded. We're different, but it's not an issue. But the thing here is when astrology is playing out, especially this energy, you need to be careful. Because with me, I can definitely go back into a very low vibrational place very quickly. In fact, I can see one thing or have one thing said to me, and I could very quickly move into I would say, it's like being a child. It's hilarious because Mars is there. Mars is in the place of the child right now. So Mars is the planet of our instinctual, impulsive action. It's how we go about getting our goals, our desires. It's how we act, not how we think, how we act. Are we fast? Are we impulsive? Are we slow? Are we very slow and stubborn to change? My Mars is Taurus, so I'm very slow and stubborn. And yet I can be very forgiving, but my Mars is retrograde in my birth chart, so I turn my anger inwards. So it's how are you impulsive? How do you express anger? And those instinctual emotions, such as rejection, such as if someone offends you, I turn inwards, I blame myself, I hold on to it, I can ruminate on it. Whereas his Mars is in Libra, he can be very airy, he can flash out with words, bang. Well, right now, Mars, the planet, is in Aries. He's going to be there for 6 months. That's so much longer than he would normally be there. He's the planet of war. He is the planet of aggression, of rebellion in Aries, because Aries is the rebel, the original thinker, the beginning, the child. It's the warrior. And to me, this Mars in Aries energy from an evolutionary perspective saying, how can you really make the most of this energy? It's saying, how can you return? How are you acting on an instinctual level? Are you acting suddenly like very reactively, like suddenly being a child and suddenly blaming outwards or suddenly getting your wounds come up to the surface? For me, it's directly sitting on my moon, squaring Chiron. Anyone who's kind of born like around my age, there's sort of 25 to maybe 33, 34 right now, will have this Mars squaring their Chiron. And that's like the wounding, so it might be triggering, like just when you think to yourself, why am I reacting this way? It can be very past life stuff being triggered, especially if you're Aries, Capricorn, Cancer or Libra. This can be a really abrasive, triggering energy. For Leos and for Sagittarius, this can be a problem-solving energy, but still not without difficulties, delays, and burdens, depending on your chart, of course. So the evolutionary thing is to slow down, because what's happening is there's two things playing out. We might have old wounds rising to the surface, being triggered and suddenly being in an argument, and we think, I don't even know what I'm arguing about. All of a sudden feeling jealous or angry or frustrated, or like what I do is my eating disorder kicks in, which is to do with how my placements are, but my eating disorder pathologies and thoughts all kick in. I'm just going to starve myself. It comes out of nowhere. I'm like, okay. And I slow down and say, well, what's this truly about? And it's really because I'm feeling instinctually rejected and alone. Okay, now I can deal with that wounding, which is to do with a certain wounding that I've got going on. So anyway, what I'm saying is the evolution of this energy is about a big 6-month return to inner child, early life, raw, sore traumas and woundings. That's like on a collective. You're also seeing society as a whole. So Mars represents like the younger people, not the institution. It's people outside of the institution. It's like the rebels. There's revolution in the air, and 6 months of this energy is Mars, the rebels in Aries, creating fights and frustration and tension building up and not being able to express it. From the month of September to November, Mars is retrograde. This is going to be the hard challenge. So all of this Mars energy, that's this building up of tension where we can't express it, we can't move forward, we can't change what we want to change. We had an idea through, this whole lockdown time. We've thought, yeah, I've actually learned I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm ready to move in this direction. And burdens come, difficulties, new relationships don't get off their legs, new jobs come with burdens. It's like everything will be delayed. And if it comes about quickly, it will very likely burn out quickly. Because this energy, Mars retrograde, it's not an energy that is sustaining with Mars in Aries. You want to wait till January or at least after November to really build that long sustaining project. That's not saying don't start anything new if you've already had it in the woodworks, but it's about reassessing, well, how is this really going to work? Because you might be like, right, I've got this idea, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do this new career, but Saturn is in the mix. And he says, and he's been in the mix for flipping ages, but we're going to feel it these 50 days. Whether it's relationships, home, property, children, anything in your life that feels like it's going to move forward and change is going to happen, and you're like, yeah, boom. It's like Saturn's in the mix, and Saturn is all the old structures, all the old karma. It's the same energy I've been going on about, and all of us have been going on about for ages. No, you can't do that. Restriction from authority, from family karma, from inner limitations, fear, restriction from burdens, paperwork, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, restriction from your family life, restriction from a relationship, depending on your chart, of course. And you'll be feeling this tension. It might be so internal. So for Scorpio ascendant, for example, for me, it's the instinctual desire to move through something new in health, to be like, yes, this is the move now in my health, I know it. But then all the old mental belief systems that don't serve me, but they just feel so rigid that it's impossible. It feels impossible to change. Think about this on a societal level. The reflection in society, remember, as above, so below, is you've got the instinctual movement forward. Humanity is suddenly going, wait, this isn't how we want to do things. What are these restrictions? What are these burdens? This isn't going to be good. This is no fun. How is this ever going to work? This isn't about what we've been told. Everyone's questioning it now because of Pluto-Jupiter energy, revealing of the hidden darkness, a big expansion of all the hidden darkness and depth from the institutions. And the people, Mars in Aries, are starting to rebel. Watch the frustration and tension build between September and November. And as Mars moves forward, watch the movements. People are going to say, no, enough is enough is enough. January is going to look totally different. But it's about this honoring of Saturn. Because Saturn and Mars are enemies at the end of the day. So if you're someone who is Mars ruled, like a Scorpio or Aries, you maybe can move a little bit more with the Mars energy. But if you're someone, or also if you're born in the daytime, Mars is a bit more favorable for you. If you're a Capricorn or Aquarius, then you want to move more with Saturn. You need to respect him more. Or if you have invisible Saturn in your chart, or if you have, like you're born at night time, Saturn is going to be the greater force for you. So I, unfortunately, am a Scorpio ascendant, born at the night. So I can't get away from it. Both are strong for me. And the thing is, it's about really honoring both. Whatever you do, there's going to be days where your energy is like, yes, the new thing. Then the next moment, boom, no, restriction. And it really depends on your chart, how it's playing out. So I want you to really listen in. How is this playing out for you? And like I say, it really depends on your unique energy. But this is a huge energy, and this new moon is going to highlight it, but also it's going to rumble up and bring to the surface as Uranus retrogrades, because Uranus is the wild card in astrology. It shakes everything up. It's like putting your hands in a plug socket, and it says you got to change something now. And I normally say on new moons, wait. But the energy is start putting the wheels in motion. But be prepared for some wheels to fall off halfway down the road and you might have to go backwards. But this is absolutely a good time to put the wheels in motion on a project, on a thing this new moon. And I would never normally say that, but the energy is just so great. It's such a good election. An election in astrology is like a good, it's like a what's the sky doing and how favorable is that for a project. So if you're thinking, right, I want to do something new, now is a great time. Definitely is a good time to initiate, but just beware if you haven't got the structures in place, if you haven't done the groundwork, if you're someone who's like, yeah, I'm further than I am, watch to be bitten in the bum. You need to be careful, So also, it's 2:44 and they still haven't come to get my parcel. I'm not happy. Anyway, don't know what else to say about that. So I've gone on that astrology bender, and this is like the tiniest bit of the surface level of what's happening. And I want you to know that whatever it is you're sitting there thinking, I need to let that thing go, but I don't know how, it feels so stuck and stagnant. You're going to feel the buildup of that tension even more. But I want you to think about something. If you never got angry or frustrated with anything, would you have ever changed anything in your life? Say you had an ex that was just so complacent and you were like, oh, but need to be understanding, and you never got angry. Would you have ever changed it? Or would you be still miserable, sleeping in separate beds 30 years later, no sex life? You need those things. You need the anger. You need the frustration. So this is all here for us to evolve and grow. This isn't the universe going, you're a victim. It's actually our own inner psychology and our own inner desire to evolve projected out into the sky. You chose this. You chose to come into 2020 at the end of this 26,000 year cycle. You chose this. So this is your moment. What are you going to do? Get frustrated and give up, or just keep digging down day by day, taking the moves, finding the guidance, taking all the higher roots into your awakening and joy? So that's kind of what I wanted to say. Now, I have an exciting announcement, which I know that you're going to love, because I know how much you want to be able to read your own astrology chart and not be relying on me to read for you, or anyone else for that matter. I know you crave the skills to look at your astrology chart and see how can you maximize the best out of your life. And I know that you probably want to do the same for your partner and your children, so you can pick the best moments to do the new projects, change career, find out what your own purpose is, find out the best times for you to invest money, the best times for you to save money, the best times for you to embark on new relationships or projects, or where to place your focus, how to actually parent your children better, how to work with your partner's energy better so that you can achieve better harmony and connection. And if you're a business coach, a health coach, a nutrition coach, I know that you probably want another layer of how to help your clients. Maybe you're thinking, I really want to do something more spiritual. Well, I have created my Soulful Astrology Made Simple course. So it's for beginners. Like, it's not just for, it's so simple. This course is for people that have learned about astrology, because it's going to cover how to actually really read a chart and make accurate predictions. It's for people that don't know anything about astrology. We're all going to meet on that level playing field, because even if you know stuff about astrology, I still read the basics, even as an astrologer. It would be ignorant to say that we know everything we need to know. So I'm basically running my astrology my Astrology Made Simple course for you, so that you can actually stop questioning yourself and maybe not need to book a reading all the time, and actually say, hey, I know exactly what I'm looking at, and look at your chart each week and say, cool, I'm equipped. I know what's coming. I can handle this energy. It's a game changer, and I help my partner out with his investments, with his work stuff, and he's done it all. He's living the life he loves. But he started even with astrology, and I thought, if I could help all my clients by actually enabling them to read their own charts and have these skills, and then if they wanted to, especially if they're a business coach, be able to move on to a sort of astrological coaching, this is something I want to give them and gift to them. So listen, I'm launching this course in October, and I want you on it because I know you're going to benefit so much. However, I've got to be honest, I want to keep it intimate and exclusive. I don't want this to be like, flipping every man and his dog on the course. I want it to be a really close, supported circle, a lovely group of women, which I know it will be because I know that you have a wonderful energy if you're listening to this podcast. And so if you want to be on that course, you need to send me an email or directly message me on Instagram. And what we're going to do is we'll set up a call where we can chat and we can find out if it's a good fit for you, because you will benefit so much from this, but I also want it to make sure it fits you and your lifestyle. But it's 6 weeks. We're going to cover everything that you need to read a chart, but it's simple. It's all online. And it's going to mean that you are able to read like a soulful astrology queen, which is what I definitely want for you. So listen, drop me an email, hello@cassieaurora.com. Some things go to my junk, so you can use the contact me form on my website, or you can directly message me on Instagram at I am Cassie Aurora. That's my handle. So make sure, if you are someone that's thinking, do you know what? I feel that's right for me. I don't know why, but I gotta be in this group. I gotta be on this course. I want astrology made simple. I want to be able to dive into those deliciously beautiful, soulful astrological energies in my chart and those people I love. This is your course. And so I'm wishing you a wonderful week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a rating review so more people can get this energy update. And please share with me, where did you listen to it? What are you up to? I love to hear from you. And I wish you the wonderful, wonderful new moon in Leo. Share with me what you're up to, and I cannot wait to speak with you soon. Have a great week.